The sun had not yet risen over the floating city of Helion, but the academy was already alive with activity. Students in sleek, form-fitting uniforms ran across the skywalks connecting the gravity towers. Some practiced drills in zero-gravity pods, while others reviewed star charts in glass-walled classrooms. The air smelled faintly of metal and ozone, a constant reminder that humanity had reached far into the stars. Among the new cadets was Riven Hale, a tall young man with sharp features and an unmistakable confidence. His uniform fit perfectly, but it was clear that he had spent more time building his body than his patience. Riven was proud, almost arrogant, and he liked to think of himself as someone who could dominate any opponent. As he walked through the halls, he glanced at the other cadets. Most of them looked nervous, their hands shaking slightly as they adjusted their gear. Not Riven. He walked with long, purposeful strides, eyes scanning for anyone who might look weak. Then he saw her. Lyra Sato was standing near the training hall entrance, quietly adjusting her gloves. She was smaller than Riven, with calm eyes and a posture that radiated control. She didn't speak much, and when she did, it was soft but clear. Yet even from across the room, Riven could feel something different about her, something he couldn't quite measure. Riven smirked. This will be easy. He moved closer, purposely walking in a way that made it seem like he was paying no attention, though his eyes stayed locked on Lyra. Other cadets whispered to each other, noticing the tension. Some of them had heard of Lyra's reputation, a quiet, precise fighter who could redirect an opponent's force without moving her stance. Most people called it skill. Riven called it a challenge. The instructor, a tall man with silver hair and a voice that could cut through the clamor of training cadets, clapped his hands. "Everyone, gather for orientation. Today is your first combat exercise, and I expect discipline, focus, and precision. Cadets will pair up for basic strike and defense drills." Cadets shuffled to find partners. Riven, of course, looked around and immediately approached Lyra. "You're paired with me," he said, leaning slightly closer, a teasing grin on his face. "Hope you're ready." Lyra looked up at him and smiled faintly. "I'm ready." That was all she said. No fear, no nervousness, no hesitation. Riven felt a small flicker of doubt, but he quickly dismissed it. "She's small. I can overpower her in seconds." The cadets stepped into the gravity-adjustable dojo, a large open space with walls that could simulate different gravity levels, from Earth-like to near zero. The floor gleamed, and holographic markers displayed combat zones and safety boundaries. The instructor activated the simulation. "Cadets, today's exercise is simple. One cadet attacks with a basic strike, the other defends, redirecting the force. We are observing skill, not strength. Remember, control is key." Riven's grin widened. "This will be fun." Lyra took her position calmly, feet planted firmly on the floor, body relaxed. Riven flexed his muscles subtly and prepared to strike. Other cadets watched, some whispering nervously about what might happen next. Riven lunged, his fist shot forward with speed and power, meant to overwhelm Lyra in the first strike. He aimed low, expecting her to stumble, to move, to falter, but Lyra did nothing. She didn't dodge, she didn't step back. She simply shifted her weight fractionally and placed her palm in the path of his fist. Not a hit, not a block, just a touch. The force of his strike didn't stop. It redirected. Riven felt his momentum twist and turn, as if the dojo itself had absorbed his attack. Before he could even realize what happened, his feet left the ground, and he was gently but firmly guided onto his back. He landed safely, unharmed, yet stunned beyond words. The room went silent for a heartbeat, then erupted into murmurs and gasps. Lyra was still standing, exactly where she had begun. Her posture was calm, her expression serene, as if nothing had happened. Riven, however, was lying on the floor. his face a mix of shock and humiliation. He scrambled to his feet, his pride wounded more than his body. "How?" he stammered. Lyra tilted her head slightly. "I didn't do anything," she said softly. "You used your own force." Riven's eyes narrowed. "That's impossible. You didn't move an inch." "You moved," Lyra said simply. "I only guided you. Your strength is yours, the way you use it. That is what matters." The instructor clapped his hands again. "Excellent demonstration, Lyra. And Riven, this is why we train humans. You have power, yes, but it is only meaningful when combined with control and awareness." Riven clenched his fists, frustration burning inside him. He wanted to lash out, to try again, to prove that he was stronger, but something about Lyra's calm eyes made him pause. There was no arrogance, no desire to humiliate, just skill and quiet confidence. The rest of the class watched, fascinated. Whispers spread across the dojo. Some cadets admired Lyra. Some began to doubt their own ability to match her. And Riven felt a mix of anger, curiosity, and something he hadn't expected: respect. After the demonstration, the instructor spoke to the entire class. "Remember this moment. Strength is only one part of humanity's greatest advantage. Adaptability, precision, and control are what make us the most formidable species in the galaxy. Learn from each other, and always respect the force you wield." Riven stayed behind for a moment, watching Lyra as she adjusted her gloves again. He noticed something in her movements, a rhythm, a flow, a human elegance that was more than just technique. It was confidence, born of understanding. He cleared his throat. Can you show me how you did that?" he asked, keeping his voice steady even though his pride told him otherwise. Lyra smiled faintly. "If you are willing to learn, yes." Riven swallowed hard. For the first time, he realized that strength alone would not be enough to dominate in the universe. Humanity had survived not by raw power, but by innovation, adaptation, and the ability to think faster than any opponent. And somehow, standing there, he knew Lyra might be the first person to teach him all of that. The rest of the day passed in a blur of drills, demonstrations, and introductions to zero-gravity combat. But Riven's mind was elsewhere. He kept glancing at Lyra, analyzing her movements, her calm posture, her precise gestures. He wanted to understand her, not just defeat her. By the time the sun rose higher over Helion, Riven felt something new. Motivation. Not the blind motivation of ego, but a deeper drive to grow, to improve, to become more than just strong. He wanted to learn what made Lyra so remarkable. And somehow, he knew that his first lesson was only the beginning. The next morning, the Helion Vanguard Academy buzzed with energy. Students moved quickly across the hallways, discussing yesterday's demonstrations. Rivenhale walked through the corridors with a mixture of pride and frustration. Pride because he had survived the redirection strike without injury, frustration because he had been outclassed by a cadet he barely knew. "Hey, Hale!" a fellow cadet called, jogging to catch up. "Still thinking about yesterday?" Riven shot him a quick glance. "Of course. I'm thinking of how I'll win next time." His companion chuckled. "Good luck with that. She's different." Riven didn't answer. He wasn't interested in anyone's opinion. Only one person mattered. Lyra Sato. He found her already in the training hall, quietly stretching. Her movements were slow and precise, almost like a dance. The soft hum of the gravity generators made the room feel weightless, and Riven noticed how easily she adjusted her balance, her feet never slipping even on the smooth floor. He felt a spark of competitiveness he had never felt before. "I can beat her. I just need the right strategy." The instructor entered, his silver hair catching the light from the simulation panels. "Cadets, today we move to live sparring drills. Each pair will attempt offensive and defensive techniques. Remember, safety first." Control is essential. Rely on skill, not raw force. Riven's pulse quickened. This was his chance. He approached Lyra and said, "Let's do this now. I want to see how you handle a full attack." Lyra nodded, her calm demeanor unchanged. "Very well." The cadets moved to the designated sparring area. The floor glowed faintly, marking the boundaries. Gravity was set slightly lower than Earth's to allow more dynamic movement, but not so low that force could go unchecked. Riven raised his fists, ready to strike. "Don't hold back," he said, a smirk tugging at his lips. "I won't." Lyra didn't respond. She simply took her stance. Her feet were shoulder-width apart, her body straight, and her eyes focused directly on him. There was no tension, only readiness. Riven charged. This time, he wasn't holding anything back. He aimed straight at her chest with a powerful strike, imagining the impact would send her across the dojo. But once again, she didn't move. Her hand met his fist, not with force, but with perfect timing and precision. Riven's momentum turned against him. He felt his balance shift in ways he hadn't expected. His feet left the floor slightly, and he stumbled, barely keeping himself from falling entirely. Impossible, he thought. She hasn't moved an inch. Before he could adjust, Lyra applied a subtle twist with her hand, redirecting his energy. Riven stumbled back, crashing against the holographic wall barrier. The sensors registered the impact, but he was unhurt. His pride, however, was bruised more than his body. The other cadets gasped, some whispered, others simply stared. It was the same reaction as yesterday, but now, Riven felt the sting more acutely. He got up, brushing dust off his uniform. "Okay," he muttered through gritted teeth. "This is starting to annoy me." Lyra's expression remained calm. "You are using too much force without control. Strength alone cannot succeed against awareness." Riven clenched his fists. "I don't need awareness. I need speed and power." Lyra tilted her head slightly. "Speed and power without precision will always fail. Your energy is yours, but your control determines the outcome." The instructor intervened, raising his hand. "Riven, step back and observe. This is a lesson in adaptability. Lyra is showing the principle of redirection, using the opponent's energy to create an advantage. Watch carefully." Riven scowled but complied, taking a step back to reassess. He circled her, analyzing her stance. Her feet didn't move. Her hands were relaxed. She didn't even tense her shoulders, and yet, every time he struck, every time he tried to overwhelm her, his attacks failed. It frustrated him beyond reason. He had trained for years to be stronger than his peers, yet here was a smaller, quieter cadet defeating him with what looked like ease. After a few more rounds, Riven stopped, breathing heavily. Sweat dripped from his brow. "Fine," he said. "I'll try it your way. Show me what I'm missing." Lyra's eyes softened slightly. "Very well. First, feel the force, don't resist it. Let it flow through you. Then, guide it without using extra strength." Riven frowned. "Guide it? You mean, not fight it?" Lyra nodded. "Exactly. Fighting force with force is wasteful. Redirect it instead. Humans are unique because we can adapt faster than almost any known species. Adaptation is our true weapon." Riven considered her words. He had never thought of combat like this before. To him, fighting had always been about overpowering the opponent. But now he realized the mistake he had been making. He assumed strength alone was enough. Lyra extended her hand, demonstrating slowly. Riven mimicked her, unsure at first. His first attempts were clumsy. His fists jerked too quickly, his body overcompensated, and he nearly stumbled again. "Relax," Lyra said softly. "Your movements must be smooth. Think of it as dancing with energy, not attacking it. Let the force guide you, don't resist." Riven took a deep breath, letting his previous frustration slip away. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, he adjusted his stance. He waited for her to strike lightly, then tried to redirect her energy as she had instructed. It was a small success, but a success nonetheless. The movement felt strange, yet satisfying. The cadets around them noticed the difference. Even the instructor nodded approvingly. "Good," Lyra said. "Now you feel the principle. But remember, this is only the beginning. Awareness must match technique, and technique must match discipline. Only then will you reach your potential." Riven's face flushed with a mixture of pride and determination. He had learned something new, something that raw strength alone could never teach. For the first time, he felt a spark of understanding. The instructor called a pause. "Cadets, remember that fighting is not only about attacking. Observation, patience, and adaptation are key. Humans are remarkable because we do not rely solely on raw strength. Our brains and bodies work together to overcome impossible odds. Learn from each other and respect what you can achieve together." Riven stayed behind as other cadets left. He approached Lyra. "I want to learn more," he admitted quietly. "Not just to beat you, but to really understand how you do it." Lyra's eyes softened. "Then you must be patient. Control comes first, humility second. Only then can humans reach their full potential. Strength alone is not enough." Riven nodded. "I understand. I'm ready to learn." For the first time, he realized that competition was not about defeating others, but about growing with them. He could feel a subtle change within himself, a new drive stronger than his desire to dominate, the desire to become better, to adapt, to evolve. Lyra smiled faintly. "Tomorrow, we begin with coordinated drills. You will not just fight. You will learn to move as one with the energy around you. Are you ready?" Riven straightened his posture, confidence returning, but not the old arrogance. "Yes, I'm ready." As they left the dojo together, the other cadets watched in quiet awe. Riven Hale, once consumed with pride, had begun a journey of true growth, and Lyra Sato, calm and precise, would be his guide. Outside, the sun rose over Helion, casting a warm glow across the floating city. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Humanity's potential was limitless, and these two cadets were only beginning to discover it. And somewhere deep inside, Riven knew that the lessons he learned from Lyra today would shape the rest of his life, both as a warrior and as a human.